So the petrochemical and chemical industry continues to spew out its toxins onto their unsuspecting neighbors for over 50 years, claiming to still be learning. And the impact has been severe, where 52% of the learners and educators at a local school in South Durban have asthma. But more importantly, the society in the South Durban area has a high level of risk of cancer as well as the leukemia. And this happens on a daily basis. The petrochemical and chemical industry in South Africa and in Durban has been around since the 1960s when the area was industrialized. And the society there is 280,000 people that lives in that area on the fence line. So I walk out of my door, and I'm in the petrochemical refinery. Or I can smell them through the windows and through the doors. 2 studies have shown and proven without a doubt that the health impacts are severe and that society is paying a huge price because of our greed and our thirst for fossil fuel in South Africa, but also in other parts of the world. The petrochemical industry, not only are they importing the crude oil from other parts of the world, probably the Middle East, Nigeria and Angola, where we're all aware there's been devastation in those societies. But also back home, they're now embarking on a new toy of looking at how they can explore for more oil and gas. So, for example, in the Cape, the fracking issue is something new, and that will devastate the scarce water resources we have in that area, but more importantly, it will destroy all the food crops. And then in the area where I come from, KZN, the province, or the state as you would call, the huge oil corporations like ExxonMobil, BP, Shell, and the others are all flocking to cut up the Indian Ocean into blocks so they can do seismic testing and look at exploring for oil and gas. And they would not be coming to South Durban or the Indian Ocean if they didn't already smell the oil in the ocean. What's also more critical here is that the same oil corporations that I mentioned are also looking at fracking and looking at 10,000 farms in the province that I come from to go and look for fracking there for the shale gas. And farmers are pushing back like never before. So what does it mean for all of us in South Africa? It means that our government, while it's here in Paris, is failing the people of South Africa. What it means is that our government is talking about climate change and talking about reduction. At the same time, the fossil fuel industry is expanding in my province and throughout the country. Now, I only touched a tip of the iceberg. We are talking about over 50 coal mines being expanded. We are talking about the 3rd coal-fired power station being built in South Africa. 2 of the coal-fired power stations since 2009, with the help of the World Bank, is still being built. And they're struggling to build it in an area where there's scarce water resources. I come from a province that has scarce water resources where water has been rationed. We have huge droughts. And that is because, not only because of the oil and gas exploration and the petrochemical industry, but also all the other chemical industries that are aligned to the plantations that we see growing in our country, devastating all the rivers and destroying our scarce water resources. If they go for shale gas and they frack the Drakensberg Mountain and all those farms in an area already with severe drought, it means that water, the clean running water will be contaminated and add to the problem that we are presently experiencing. So what is needed? What is needed, and that's why I'm here. What is needed is the world's people to come together. We cannot rely on our governments. They fail us. We cannot rely on the corporations. They will fail us because they put profit first. The impact of people is severe. We are paying the price. It's time to push back all of us together and time to find a new way of how we're going to deal with these COPs, because the 21 years of the COP has produced absolutely nothing for us. It has not brought any changes that we are desiring, and so it needs a new approach, an approach that puts people first. And so I'm here to say we've got to work extra hard in our communities. We got to start dismantling the power of the corporations and the governments that are supporting them. We got to start pushing back in a way that the power lies with each and every one of us, and you know the ways. I don't need to come here and tell you what ways are required, what ways are needed. It lies in each and every one of us. And we need to go back and start dismantling that power of the corporations, start working with the communities affected, and start bringing change about as soon as possible. Nature is not going to wait for us. Neither will anything else wait for us. The time is ripe right now. Thank you.
One last one. You can hear people are eager for change. They're eager for alternatives. Can you provide a specific example from your experience where people are fighting back successfully or fighting back in a way that appears to be moving in the right direction towards success?
We've got to start dumping the oil dinosaur. We've got to look at what's best for us, and that means that we've got to walk more, we've got to cycle more, and we've got to produce locally more. And we've got to start buying locally and changing the dynamics of that, where we are fed that this whole thing is built on that we got to buy all from products and we've got to drive cars. I mean, that I'm here is shocking that I shouldn't have been here in the first place. But I think it has to come from each and every one of us, that the change must come from within us, and that if we want to get rid of the oil and those corporations that have fed us with false solutions, then we ourselves have to start living out those lives.
Desmond, thank you for your testimony on your presentation. I have two questions for you. One very simple one, both simple, but for clarification and for us to really get a sense of what is going on in South Africa. You said that when you step out of your door, you step into the middle of a petrochemical plant. Now, it's been said that those who are living so close came close because the plant was there before you came. Well, some people say the plant came to meet the people there. So I would like to clarify that. Number two, 3 years ago, I visited abandoned coal mines in Witbank area in South Africa. And those abandoned mines are caves of fire. The fires were burning, really burning. You could see the heat above the ground. And sometimes people's houses disappear into sinkholes. Have those fires been put out, or are they still burning?
Certainly the petrochemical and chemical industry that lives alongside and that's in my face every day gives me all the energy to fight them every day. And I think a lot of people out there who are affected with the chemicals over the years have realized that there's no way that the petrochemical industry can be anybody's friend. And we have a problem. We have a problem in the sense that our governments believe that you can eat chemicals and you can eat money. But people themselves have realized that chemicals and money cannot be eaten by any one of us. We will never survive on that. The second question is that the coal mines in South Africa continue to burn. But more importantly, the coal mines that have got international corporations that operate these mines, including the oil, these coal mines continue to keep people in inhumane conditions. and people are living in conditions that you've never seen before. You would think that the mining corporations are making so much money, shipping all those profits out to New York, to London, probably to Melbourne. You would think that these mining corporations will enhance and improve people's lives. And we are seeing that even 21 years of democracy in South Africa, that the conditions have gone worse. So those mines continue to spew out their chemicals, but more importantly, they get left, they get abandoned by these big corporations, or they sold to unsuspecting people in South Africa who don't understand that remediation, that whole issue of the polluter pay principle. So a lot of these mines sometimes are abandoned by these huge major corporations, and I want to say that some of them are in your countries, like Anglo-Ashanti. We all know them. So they leave them and abandon them, and then it becomes the responsibility of the taxpayer or the government.
When it comes to South Africa and the narrative that those of us who live in Africa are sold to is that 90% of electricity in South Africa is generated by coal. And we're told that under the there is no alternative mantra, we're told that that is the only way to go. But I'd love for you to speak to us about the realities of when it comes to class, even just class issues about who gets to access those, the implications for those who, where the coal is extracted, and who actually gets to benefit from the electricity once it's generated. And two, finally, I think we tend to forget that when we talk about the climate crisis, it's, I'd say, people my age and those who are younger than me that are going to face the consequences. And I know your organization works a lot with young people in Durban, and some of us have been privileged to march on the streets of Durban with young people. Could you also speak about building collective power and consciousness among young people in South Africa, and how that can be used as a model of organizing in other parts of the world? 77%
of South Africa's energy is given to the major big industries of South Africa. All your dirty industries are shifting from the north to the south, like your aluminium smelters and your big mining and your big refinery and chemical industries. Out of the 17% that belongs to the people, only 40% of that electricity is provided to poor people. So we have an unequal situation of energy poverty, where people that live alongside these coal mines and these coal-fired power stations do not have access to electricity. So your big energy, all the exports that come over to Europe is given preferential rates, and they hold our government to ransom. They get it cheaper than us. And in South Africa, over 20,000 people are off the grid every month because energy is not affordable. To the youth, to how we organize, because it's their future, certainly I believe that we need to put a lot of effort in the youth. And in South Africa, we have realized that the youth have more energy, more power, and they're not afraid to speak out. One of the major things that you must have heard, the students' uprising in the past few months in South Africa, fees must fall. That has happened because the students organized and they fought against a system that was going to exclude them from the university. We work with over 100 secondary schools in South Durban, in Durban where I live. And that has given us the opportunity to engage the young at a level that empowers them, but also puts the decisions in their hands. And so that's important for us, because we certainly believe that they will change. It will change, and change will come about through young people.